welcome to the second hour of the show. 2-minute drill coming up in a little bit, but we've got a guest I'm very excited about. He's a young man named Issac Willour, and I hope I said your last name right, Isaac, when I said your last name. He just recently wrote a great piece in USA Today. He also has a Substack as well, where he writes about all kinds of stuff, political and otherwise, from his very interesting perspective. Isaac, welcome to the show.
Hey, Mandy, thanks for having me.
So you are 14 weeks away from graduating from college.
Yep, we are counting it down. Well, the seconds tick by like an hourglass.
Well, I was going to say, trust me, being an adult full-time sucks, okay? So that's just the way I'm letting you know. Don't get excited, because it's just all a slog from here on out until you die. Told. Yeah. Let's talk.
No one has been overselling the adult gig so far, at least.
Well, I want to ask you before we talk about the column, because I read this column. I went back and read some of your stuff on Substack. I think you're a great writer, first of all. So I'm assuming that you're going to have a long career of me being able to read your stuff. Where would you say your politics lie? Or have you given it a ton of thought?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. It's definitely been one of the weird things about, I didn't become politically even sentient of anything until 2016, after Trump won, because that was just not something that I really paid attention to. And I will say, and this is not, we don't have to jump into this, but it's like, I had a whole childhood that was essentially politics free. It was really nice. I consider it one of the great blessings of my life. My parents did a really good job at that. So personally, when I got into politics, I was probably I wouldn't say Trump-y, but Trump okay with-y. That has shifted a bit. Obviously, to be fair, so has Trump. My politics now would probably be pretty center-right on the vast majority of issues.
I actually said to my audience earlier, I kind of view you as being a part of the center that gives you the ability to be critical of both sides and kind of look at both sides with a disparaging eye, which is refreshing. And I think, interesting to read. I tend to gravitate towards people, whether they are center left or center right, that have that same ability to be critical of what they consider their own side. And I think you're doing that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say disparaging. I mean, disparaging implies that I'm actively beating down on both sides, which is not necessarily always the case. Sometimes it is, sometimes it is completely justified and it's go time. But it gives me a vantage point from which, up until a couple of weeks ago, I had no party affiliation, and now I do, which is a tactical thing because of elections. But it's given me a nice vantage point to be able to. I have no sense where I have to hold my tongue in order to make sure my team wins, because my team and your team and our team of sane Americans who want to live in a less polarized country is very clearly not winning right now. And whether there's one team of people that are fighting against that, whether there's two, whether there's red and blue teams fighting against that, our team is not winning, and that ultimately is the team of people that I feel that I am fighting for, if any, is not the like-minded, but the like-hearted people who actually want serious discourse. We want to not feel a partisan obligation to pull punches on either side, because at the end of the day, we are not fighting for a political side to win necessarily. We're fighting for certain values. And the fact that those are very imperfectly expressed in two different teams is, I think, a part of it, but it's certainly not the entire situation.
Well, I want to ask you about the column you wrote for USA Today, and the headline is, "Voters of color aren't happy with Biden, but we're not rushing to Trump's camp." And you do a very good dissection of sort of the history. And I'm going to go back. Before I got in Denver, I've been here almost 10 years. I was in Louisville, Kentucky, and I watched this phenomena happen in the most frustrating way. Before every election, all of the Democratic politicians would show up in the black neighborhoods with a giant cardboard check for something, right? It was a cardboard check for a place for kids to hang out or whatever it was. And they would gather up all of these black votes. And then after the election, they were nowhere to be found. And it was frustrating for me because I thought to myself, why are you going to keep falling for that? And if you're going to fall for that, at least demand more money, right? Get more money on the front end from this. And yet now there seems to be a little bit of disillusion, at least in some camps, with Joe Biden. What is that? Explain to my audience what you're seeing.
Yeah, I think that's a really good observation. And like, I mean, full disclosure, I'm not black, right? Like I'm Indian. I was adopted. I have white parents. So this is like there's a weird crossing of worlds there. But the sense that I am getting very strongly from the heart of the Democratic National Convention, where they have decided to put their strategy, is, I mean, this new initiative that I talk about in the piece, I think it's called Power to the People, $35 million. What exactly is the DNC spending that money on? It is probably not all community initiatives and helping charter schools, ostensibly. There is a lot of, and to be fair, Trump is not, when it comes to issues of race, especially, and relating to people who have concerns about racial polarization, Trump is not exactly necessarily your guy, right? The guy just spews things that, I mean, he has these quotes that we can talk about like, I believe it's immigrants poisoning the blood of our country and this kind of stuff. And we can have debates about what that means, but it creates a real sense of what as we would say in Gen Z, it creates a sense of ick that just really is polarizing. But
it creates a sense of otherness. For a long
time, the DNC has relied on the fact that Trump's the way in which he comports himself, especially to voters of color, is really going to be off-putting, and it still is. Like, it really is off-putting, and it's not just because of race. There's a whole lot of reasons that Trump is off-putting to voters of all colors, but specifically within this, I think the DNC just got cocky with that, and they forgot that they actually have to earn the votes of people of color in more ways than just saying, "Look, Republican racist." This is not working. Especially when you have a president like Joe Biden, who says things like, if you have a problem with deciding whether to vote for Trump or vote for me, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. This is profoundly offensive to people. This is political strategy 101, which is a class that seems to not be taught, but maybe should be at the DNC, which is kind of sad. But yeah, these are profoundly offensive things to say to voters of color. And so it's no wonder that, and of course, like, the Biden administration has failed to come through on a lot of its promises, all these kinds of things. Like, Joe Biden has the ability to condemn white supremacy, but then refer to previous "you ain't black" content. Like, can we not have a president that can disavow white supremacy? I want that, right? I want a president to be able to disavow white supremacy. This isn't difficult. It's not negotiable. We're not going to have some nuanced, thoughtful discussion on whether or not it's bad, right? White supremacy is bad. We should all be able to say that unequivocally, no matter what candidate you are. But you should also be able to come through on your promises and not treat people like prizes to be won if you hit the right donation threshold. If you pour $35 million into a little claw machine, you can pull up the requisite amount of black votes and everything will be hunky-dory. That's not how it works. And I think if the DNC doesn't change their strategy, they're going to figure out just how much it doesn't work.
Well, I'm talking to Issac Willour. Is it, how are you going to say your last name, Isaac?
Willour.
He has written a column in USA Today. Isaac, I got to take a break, but I want to keep you. Over for just a moment here. Can I do that? Yeah. We're going to be right back with Isaac. So hang on for just a second through this break right here on KOA.
This may come as a surprise to you, but gold has outperformed stocks and bonds since the turn of this century. That's right. Over the past 24 years, gold has beaten stocks and bonds when it comes to performance. And with everything going on in the world today, the economy, the wars, the bank failures, the debt, it's really no surprise. So, is it time you gave precious metals a look? Join the thousands of other concerned Americans who are learning how they can diversify and protect their savings with the top-rated precious metals company, Goldco. Goldco has helped thousands of Americans place over $2.5 billion in gold and silver. Right now, they're offering a free 2024 gold and silver guide to arm you with the facts. Plus, all qualified customers could get up to $10,000 in bonus silver while supplies last. Call Goldco today at 855-GOLD-IRA to learn how you could get started today. That's 855-GOLD-IRA.
Wherever you are on your well-being journey, Audible is there for you. You'll discover voices that motivate, to spark you to take action.
The best time to start is right now.
There are sounds to soothe, so you can focus, reduce stress, and sleep better. Stories to inspire, so you can dream big again.
One, liftoff.
And a range of personalities, so you'll have a partner on your journey. Get closer to the best you with bestsellers, new releases, and exclusive originals, all ad-free. Listen now on Audible.
Breaking news.
This just in.
Get a more considered view of the news with The Economist.